Okay, everyone, welcome back here to the CNN Newsroom. I'm Don Lemon. We have an update now on a story out of California that's getting a whole lot of national attention. It's about an unarmed man. He is shot by a transit police officer on New Year's Day. Now California's Attorney General is involved. He plans to have a state prosecutor monitor that investigation. Meantime, the city of Oakland is up in arms over the shooting. Here's CNN's Dan Simon.
It was senseless and all caught on camera. Rioters busted windows, set fires, and pounced on police cars. One woman tried to defend the violence.
We live a life of fear, and we want them to be afraid. We want them to understand we will mobilize. We are a community, and we are a voice.
The tension had been building for days, the aftermath of a New Year's Day police shooting in an Oakland subway station that left an unarmed man dead. The shooting may not have received national attention, except it was captured on video by several bystanders with cell phones. The disturbing images appear to show a man lying face down with two police officers over him, while a third officer stands up, pulls his gun, and fires a shot. 22-year-old Oscar Grant died several hours later. Transit police say he'd been involved in a fight aboard a train, and that's why they wanted to arrest him. The victim's family has already hired a lawyer and filed a $25 million death claim against the city.
It is, without a doubt, the most unconscionable shooting I have seen ever.
Some law enforcement experts have speculated the officer intended to reach for his taser, but accidentally grabbed his gun. But the officer, 27-year-old Johan Meserly, on the job for 2 years, won't agree to be interviewed by investigators or make any public statements under the advice of his lawyer. He has since resigned and also has been the target of multiple death threats.
We want justice now!
Many in the Oakland community are pressing the district attorney to file criminal charges and march to his office.
We are a community that will not tolerate those who are charged with protecting us, executing our children in broad view for the world.
But what started as a peaceful protest turned ugly. Police responded to the violence in riot gear, fired tear gas, and arrested more than 100 people. No word when the DA may decide whether or not to file charges against the officer. Meanwhile, people have been dropping off flowers, cards, and candles at the subway station where the victim was shot. Dan Simon, CNN, Oakland.
Joining me tonight, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor B.J. Bernstein, and then also John Burris. John Burris is the attorney for the Grant family. John, I want to start with you. Tell us about your case right now, your communication with the police department.
Well, what we have done, first off, is we gathered up a number of the videotapes that have taken place, and we have submitted those to the police for them to review as well. Because our view is that this shooting obviously was an unconscionable act, and what you want to look on the videotape is whether or not this is a second-degree murder type case or is it an involuntary manslaughter. A lot of people have speculated that he was reaching for a taser. That's not evident on the tape itself. What's evident is he reached for a gun. So therefore, criminal charges, from our point of view, should be filed. Now, I have filed a lawsuit against them seeking wrongful death damages as well as violations of his civil rights.
Okay, I want to get to B.J. Bernstein. I have to ask you, though, how is Oscar Grant doing?
Oscar Grant family is doing reasonably well.
Sorry, the family.
Yeah, reasonably well in the sense that, you know, they've been in a lot of pain, a lot of anguish, but what they do not want is the violence that has taken place ostensibly in protesting what has happened. This is a very Christian-loving family. They want protests, peaceful protests, rallies. They want the prosecution to take place, but they do not want violence or property destroyed in the name of their son.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're talking about all the protests and the rioting that happened. It's been happening out in Oakland, California since the death of this young man. Here's the thing, B.J. Bernstein, when you look at this videotape and you look at Oakland Police Department and at some of the cases that have been brought against him recently, and I'm looking over a list here of them, Where do you see this going? The videotape is pretty damning.
The videotape is very disturbing, and the one thing that I'm going to be waiting to see is what were in the police reports by all the officers present. You know, this tape that we've been seeing on air has been from somebody's cell phone. Yeah. So some reports were written before this made public. What was in those reports? Did some other officer go ahead and start to say and come forward? And that's going to be critical for the city of Oakland as to whether it's one rogue officer or whether the other officers were complicit in what happened.
Okay, you're a former prosecutor, and you've worked, you know, you've worked with the police department, had cases where you've represented people on different sides. But when you look at this video, is there any other way to look at it than there is some trouble here? I mean, how might the police department defend themselves when you have two separate tapes showing this officer shooting this man?
Well, Mr. Burris alluded to it, and I've been seeing it on some of the blogs talking about that the police officer possibly thought it was a taser. But again, even with a taser, there's a big difference in the movement used for a taser and a gun and firing a weapon. I think that's a weak excuse.
It is disturbing to watch this, and thank you very much, Mr. Grant. John Burris, thank you very much. And also, can you please send our condolences to the Grant family?
I absolutely will do that.
All right. Thank you very much for that. BJ, thank you so much for this. BJ is going to join us. We're going to talk much more about other shootings happening and other controversial cases with police officers around the country. In Texas, a minor league baseball player shot by the cops in his own driveway.
We did not know it was a police officer. We just thought, you know, who is this guy with this gun and this flashlight?
Why did this happen? Our focus tonight, police shootings.